So I was having a conversation with a business mentor of ours a few days ago, and he was telling me how he went through a similar period, actually about a year and a half ago, to what we have been going through recently with some of the issues around paid ads and stuff like that. We talked about that on a recent podcast episode. I don't really need to get into the details now, but the point is he went through a similar difficult period in his business. And he said during our conversation a few days ago, he said, yeah, I know it sucks, but you're learning things and you're going through things that your goals actually require. Like you're becoming the person that you need to be to accomplish your goals by going through this period of struggle. And his main point really during this conversation was that struggles strengthen you and struggles are really required to accomplish your goals. So that really got me thinking about struggles and failure and how they are actually a very necessary part of the path to success, regardless of what your goals are. And I think it's really important to keep in mind that what you are going through is necessary. Those difficult times are actually necessary. And I know you never in the moment want to be going through that stuff. And I know it's really difficult. And there's probably lots of stuff that people listening to this are going through that I have never experienced, and it might be more struggle than I will ever see in my life. And I really feel for you, and but it's important to understand
some of those people are the most resilient people I've ever met, though.
Well,
and that goes right in line with exactly what you're saying.
I think that's the beautiful part, is that these people build resilience through that, and they become just these people of really strong character. And I think that's really admirable. So what you're going through is necessary. You are building the skills, you are building the grit, you are building the perseverance required to accomplish your goals. And I think as a society, we've really been conditioned to believe that our hardships are the reason that we can't be where we want to be in life. That the adversity that we're facing is holding us back from our goals, or the situation that we were born into, whether it was financial or relational or whatever it was, that stuff is actually holding you back from accomplishing our goals. And that really couldn't be further from the truth. If anything, those are opportunities for growth, to build the character required to become an extraordinary human and accomplish some really amazing goals. So those hardships are really what give us the skills and the perseverance that we need to accomplish our goals. And I think the bottom line here is that you shouldn't really want it to be easy. You shouldn't want the path to success to be easy, because you need to level up in terms of the person that you need to be to deserve your goals. And that happens through struggle. So in other words, every setback, every failure, every loss, every moment of self-doubt, every time you think I can't do this, every time that things don't go your way, every time that you feel like giving up, actually brings you closer to your goals, not farther. And as I was kind of reflecting on my life and how I've kind of gotten to this point, and I'm really only a small part of the way to the person that I ultimately want to become and the goals that I ultimately want to have. But I've already gone through some periods of adversity to get to this point. And in reflection on those, all of those have benefited my life in pretty tremendous ways when you zoom out. Like in the moment, it feels like, oh, this is the end of the world. Oh, this is terrible. Why do I have to go through this? Why me? That's what it feels like in the moment, but actually what you are getting out of that is incredibly valuable.
I would even go past saying it benefited, and I would just say it molded, it created the life that you have.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, it's everyone talks about, oh, it'd be nice to just have this or just be able to do that and just have things handed to them. But through that process, I couldn't imagine going, these 28 years of life and having everything handed to me, or having everything extremely easy and not having to problem solve or figure things out or be resourceful. And it's just I can't even fathom what it would feel like to be in that position, because I don't think that you would ever feel accomplished.
I think a really good example of this that we've touched on before in the podcast is the whole lottery system. So you win the lottery, you get lots of money. I mean, your chances of that are super slim. So I don't know why people play the lottery really, but let's say you win the lottery, you get money. It's like, okay, great. But I haven't built any of the financial intelligence required to make use of this money or be intelligent about how to kind of take care of this amount of money. And like, then you start making poor financial decisions, and most people who win the lottery end up becoming broke a few years down the road. Why does that happen? Because they haven't become the person that they need to be to actually deserve success from a financial perspective.
Yeah.
And the same can be said from any other perspective in life. So if you would just like you're getting started in your fitness journey, and let's say that there was some magic way of you just getting your dream body.
A magic pill, let's say, for
you take a magic pill, you get your dream body. Okay, but are you going to be able to maintain that? Are you going to be able to fuel your body properly to maintain your health, maintain that physique and stuff like that? You're not going to, and you're going to most likely end up losing that physique over time because you haven't built the
there's
knowledge and character.
There's no doubt that you wouldn't lose it. You know, it's like going throughout the entire process. Like if you were able to immediately get your ideal physique, it's you haven't built the foundation, the consistency, the understanding, the support system, and if you just move forward into this new body with the same mindset that you had previously, with the limiting beliefs, the lack of direction and understanding, and the poor relationships with food or whatever it is, the very next day you're going to start on the decline. And it's just a matter of time till you get back to where you took the pill.
Yeah. So as I said, I was reflecting over my life and kind of some adversity I've gone through, and I realized some things that I think are that I wanted to share that I think are important. So in hindsight, I needed to be diagnosed with cancer in 2013 to go vegan, and I did that about almost 8 years ago at this point. It will be 8 years in May. I needed to be diagnosed with cancer to go vegan 8 years ago and completely change my health and completely change my perspective about what health truly means, and understand the importance of being a steward of this earth and taking care of other animals, like fellow earthlings and stuff. So that has just completely changed my life and given me so much purpose. And I wouldn't have experienced that unless I was diagnosed with cancer. I also needed to struggle in the gym over these last 12 years of training to build a great physique. You need to go through periods of struggle to come out stronger on the other side. So I needed to go through that stuff. I also needed to fail in multiple businesses to eventually start the vegan gym and really find my passion, what I truly wanted to do for the rest of my life. And previously, like all the other business endeavors that I have started, they haven't been things that I've been super passionate about. It just seemed like, oh, this is the opportunity for me to become a successful entrepreneur or something. It wasn't really rooted in meaning, and now I feel like I have that. So that has been a huge blessing in my life. But I had to go through lots of difficult times where I would look in the mirror and be like, what the heck are you doing? Why am I continuing to fail again and again with these different businesses? And I would put in really long hours outside of my work. And then when things just weren't going my way, I might have invested thousands of hours in one of these projects, but it just wasn't taking off. And in hindsight, I was paying my dues to learn the things I needed to learn to make this thing that we're building, the vegan gym, actually successful. Like I needed to learn those lessons in other areas, and now I have the opportunity to redeploy those lessons and that knowledge through a channel that I really care about.
I like
So
that word, redeploy.
redeploy. Yeah, that's
That's
Probably
pretty an intense word.
probably the first time I said that word in a couple of years. Sounds very military.
Yeah.
And another thing, like even as we've gone through the process of the vegan gym and stuff, like we have needed to lose money to learn lessons and grow as entrepreneurs. So like the point is you continue going through, and there's some other periods that we could go through as well, but those are kind of the main ones that really stood out to me that have gotten me to this point. And like being diagnosed with cancer, that was a really traumatic point in my life. That was the most kind of emotionally, mentally draining, kind of taxing time. But I wouldn't change that for anything because now I have a lot of things that I wouldn't have otherwise had, and had perspective that I otherwise wouldn't have had. So I wrote down a few things that you've gone through as well. So I'd like to maybe for you to share some of that. So
Yeah, and before this podcast, like, it was like something that's not about the military. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, you can
That
totally-
was such a huge part of my life. But no, I totally understand that. You know, it's like the first thing that comes to my mind every single time I think about like the adversity and a period that I grew from was 100% the scar I have on my neck. I don't even know if I've said this story on the podcast. I don't think I have. Maybe we'll save the full in-depth story for another time. But essentially, like what happened, I was 3 years old. I got 4th-degree burns on my neck. And so I've lived with the scar on my neck, and I will forever, which was something that really ate at me going through grade school because I knew I was different. I felt self-conscious about it. And that's what really like took my confidence level down to an extreme low. But it was through that process of having to kind of just come to terms with accepting it, where I was able to gain the perspective of like, I don't know, a few big takeaways from it is like, hey, how you like don't judge others, you know, you understand that people also go through other hardships when you see specific things and you don't make fun. And then it also, the most beneficial piece of this was actually this whole experience just really making my confidence level dive into the depths for me for when I got into the gym, I had hope of regaining that confidence through health and fitness. So I think if I would have not had this scar and I went to the gym, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I did. And I think I would have just more so stuck with just like video games and stuff. I would never have seen myself getting to this point if that didn't happen to me. And I mean, it was a pretty intense, journey for me as a kid because I had 3 reconstructive surgeries on it. And then I had to like wear a head bandage for years upon end, and going in and out of like burn hospitals. The biggest thing, that really like stuck with me is just seeing other kids my age, if not younger, in the burn hospital. And like, life is a beautiful thing. And I think I really gained a lot of perspective through this, and understanding like don't take things for granted and enjoy every single moment because not to get graphic, but I literally saw kids like faces melted off with head bandages and everything. So
I remember going there a few times with you. So
yeah,
it's Shriners Burn Hospital.
Yeah,
I think it was in
Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going a few times. We were very young.
Yeah. Well, you went. I don't remember you coming along. You might have gone into the lobby and waiting rooms and stuff. But like I was in and out. Like I remember going to and from that hospital like weekend trips, like nonstop. Especially in the very beginning of this, and then of course as you recover, it just tapers. But yeah, a really amazing day was the last appointment that I had with them. They actually gave me the choice on whether I wanted to have another reconstructive surgery or not, a fourth one where they said it could benefit with certain things and so forth. And mom was in the room, the doctor was in the room, and they allow me to choose. And I chose not to. Because I actually, like, at that point, I started to accept that this was me. So it was just cool. And then it's just like, when we moved to Pennsylvania, that was another like learning curve. Like I wasn't really like, defeated by it, but it was just a new crowd that I had to get familiarized. And so, I mean, trying to explain this to a whole new school. Of course, you're the talk of the school for a little bit, but yeah, it was just a whole journey that has led me to be the man I am today.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting that you bring up that perspective that you got in seeing these other kids who have gone through even more kind of serious adversity and face more life-threatening conditions.
I was thankful.
I felt not at the time. I didn't really. Everything had happened pretty quickly, but when I went into the various oncology centers that I was going to through my cancer diagnosis, I was seeing other people who
I
were
couldn't imagine
going through pretty serious stuff as
Right.
well. And at that time, I hadn't been cleared in knowing that the tumor that they had removed hadn't spread. So I wasn't sure exactly what my diagnosis was, but that even still helped to reframe my perspective there. And after kind of getting that kind of clear diagnosis, in reflecting on that and realizing there are other people who have so much more adversity to go through. And I think that's also a helpful perspective, is knowing that there are always people who are going through more than you are. And if they can make it through, then so can you. And
the one thing I will say to that is, I completely agree. Like, I think perspective is a very important thing to allow you to work through the things that you're going through. But I think there's a constructive way of doing it and a deconstructive way of going about having that perspective. Because ultimately, if you look at someone like, like what I have is it's nothing compared to that person. Like, you might actually not. You might become numb to the thing that you're experiencing and say it's nothing and not actually gain anything from it. So it doesn't matter. Sure, there are certain things that are more serious than others, but we all perceive it differently. And what we might say is not as severe as the next could be that the biggest thing happening in someone's life that they're growing from, right? Compared to that individual, like maybe that was the second crazy thing that has happened to them. So I think that you need to have the perspective like, oh wow, if they are able to make it through that, I can make it through this. But this is also a huge learning opportunity for me, because this is the biggest thing that's happened in my life.
yeah.
And not just kind of like say, oh, whatever. It's like I shouldn't be like a baby about it,
Yeah. Yeah,
so.
I didn't really mean it from that perspective. That's a helpful
I think it's just important to
clarification.
note that, because I do think people do take that route, where they just do not even think about, they say my situation's not important. But it is. It's your life, and you need to address it how you need to, and grow from that. But seeing the outside things as well helps you address it in a reasonable manner for you to take positive things away from it instead of allowing negative things to set in.
Yeah. I didn't say anything with the intention of diminishing anyone's kind of experience through adversity, but the point is, like, just understanding, hey, if other people have gone through the same thing that I've gone through, like, it is by definition possible for me to go through. And also using that as using those other stories as a source of gratitude, like we were talking about.
And fuel, it's just like saying, hey, let's take it one step at a time. They did, I can do it too.
Yeah.
So yeah. It's just crazy. It's and I think a lot of people don't reflect. They try to like run away from big things in their lives, and I think it's something that if you're doing that, you need to revisit it and understand, like really list out what you've gained from that instead of latching onto the negative things. Because for my burn and my scar, and for you with cancer, it's like, I mean, again, I'm not saying it's anything like astronomical, but it's something that we could have easily attached to something negative and allowed and just like carried that with us, which would hold us back from getting to where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess to be fair, I did have a pretty negative outlook as I was going through that time, but then I
But that's
pretty quickly.
that's the growth dip, though.
Yeah, it is, and then pretty quickly thereafter, I started reframing that
Yeah.
situation. So I think
I would never expect for someone to hear that diagnosis or get burned, and the next day they're like, oh, life's great. It's like, I'm learning from this. Like, there is always going to be a down period, but you do have it's completely up to you to be able to turn that into an upside, and move forward from it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the overarching takeaway from this episode is understanding that the path from where you are now to where you want to be is a roller coaster of ups and downs. And the ups in that process are part of the path to success, and the downs are also part of the path to success. So understanding that you have to go through failure, you have to go through struggle, and that is actually moving you forward, because those parts are necessary. It's like a check mark that you need to go through, a checkpoint that you need to go through to actually get to your goal. So instead of viewing your progress solely in terms of like positive milestones that you must have checked off, you can also kind of shift your perspective to view progress in terms of the obstacles that you have overcome. And you say, okay, I overcame that obstacle. Now I'm actually closer to my goals. So this can be a really helpful way to reframe the difficult parts of your journey as you progress towards your goals, because failures and struggles are actually a really great indicator of success, and progress. Like those are things that are moving you closer to your goals. And I think that's a really helpful lens through which to view progress, because it reframes struggle and failure. It's not like a negative thing. It's this is a learning phase. This is a growth phase. And as a really simple example, we can look at weight loss, and it's not exactly kind of to the caliber of the things that we've been discussing. But let's say that you have the goal of losing 20 pounds. In that situation, I might set the goal of losing 1 pound per week. And every pound that I lose means that I'm 5% closer to my goal. And every pound lost can be kind of like that positive milestone. So I can go through this process of trying to lose 20 pounds, and I can say every single pound I lose is getting me 5% closer to my goal. But the process of weight loss is never linear, and your weight is going to fluctuate up and down from day to day. That's just really part of the process. And seeing the number on the scale jump up some days, even when you are doing everything right, you're following your plan, you're following your training and nutrition, and you're doing everything like 100%, and you're bringing that intensity, and you're focusing on sleep and hydration and all this stuff. You're doing all the things, but then you see the weight creep up over a few days or a week or something like that. That is just part of the process. Those little periods of struggle, those little periods where it's kind of like success is testing you. Like life is testing you to see how badly you want your goal. And it's up to you to say, I really want this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this. Even though I'm not exactly seeing what I want, I know that I'm on the right path, and I'm going to keep pushing forward. Or maybe there's like this big work deadline that you have in your life, and that requires you to work much longer hours for a week, and it totally derails your schedule, and you can't really fit in your workouts at your normal time, so you end up missing some of your workouts. The struggle in any of these aspects is part of the path to accomplishing that weight loss goal. And it's not going to be sunny blue, clear skies from now until you accomplish your goal. There are going to be some dark days. There are going to be some trials, and you are going to be required to push through those if you truly want to accomplish those goals. So that's just like a small example of this, but obviously we were talking about some kind of heavier examples of what adversity might look like in your life. So whatever you're going through, understand that those struggles are part of the process. They are part of the journey to success, and they're just required to become the person that you need to be to deserve the goals that you want to have. So perhaps the most well-known example of persistence in the face of struggle and failure is the story of the invention of the light bulb. And this is something that we've all heard, but Thomas Edison is one of the most prolific inventors in all of history. He actually has 1,093 patents under his name, which include the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and his most significant invention, the light bulb. So some people say that Edison made about 1,000 attempts at creating the light bulb. Others say 10,000, and there are other numbers kind of in between that.
Must quite the jump.
But whatever. Well, it seems like nobody knows exactly for sure. But whatever it was, the point is he made a lot of attempts, and he went through lots of failure. He went through lots of struggles to get to this. And as the story goes, when a reporter asked Edison, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? Edison replied, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. And I thought that was like such a cool perspective.
Yeah.
Then that's just
I don't know
kind
if I've actually ever heard that before.
Yeah. Well, I think I heard it previously, but that really kind of spoke to me as I was pulling together notes for this, and I realized like that is just part of the process, and the people who understand that these struggles are steps along the journey to get where you want to go, those are the people who end up accomplishing the goals that they want to accomplish in life. So imagine if we all viewed failure and struggle through that same lens. What if we all viewed failure and struggle as simply part of the journey to success? I think a lot more people in life would be more successful in whatever area of life they really want to grow in if they viewed failure and struggle through that lens. So there's another kind of amazing human who has failed more times than most people would ever consider trying, and that is Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan famously said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot, and I missed. I failed over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. So in other words, just like Edison, Jordan is viewing failure as stepping stones towards success. And I have, a few months ago, I watched The Last Dance on Netflix. It's a sports documentary that really highlights Michael Jordan's career.
Oh, for some reason I thought that was a dancing movie, but okay.
No, that's the, so I think his name is Phil Jackson. Don't actually have that in my notes, but the coach of the Bulls during that time, I think it was Phil Jackson, and he titled their last season The Last Dance. So this was the 1997 to 98 season of the Chicago Bulls, and they titled it The Last Dance because that was the last year he was going to be the head coach. And this documentary is just masterfully produced. It's just really motivational and really moving. So if you have not watched it, I would highly, highly recommend it. And you just really get an inside look into how Michael Jordan views hard work and how he views struggles and overcoming them, and how every single time he went through a period of adversity, that was an opportunity for him to grow and become a better person from that. So that was just, I'd highly recommend checking that out if you haven't seen it. So what's the main takeaway here? Instead of viewing struggle as a bad thing and wishing that you didn't have to go through those struggles, thank your struggles for what they gave you and who they pushed you to become. It's so important to view struggle through that lens because that is what inevitably will lead to success. And you really are who you are because of the struggles that you've gone through. The struggles that Anders was talking about earlier have made him into the person that he is now, and same with me. And I just think it would be so sad to wish to have a life of ease and comfort, because strong character is built through hard times. It's built through this struggle. It's built through adversity and failure. So if you want to have strong character and accomplish amazing goals, then you must endure seasons of struggle. So you can't hate the thing that creates the desired outcome. You can't hate the struggles and the adversity that creates the person that you need to become to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. You can't hate the heat and the beating of the hammer if you want to strengthen the steel. That's how steel is made, just like with your character, just like with your goals. Steel is forged in the same way. They go hand in hand. So we just need to accept struggle for what it actually is, which is progress.